Welcome to Grace Among Us, the podcast where we unearth the many faces and places of grace and share stories of the power of grace in our human lives. Our desire is that this will inspire you to see grace in your own life and share it with others.
Hello. My name is Carri Richard. I am a mindset coach, and I am here with Ebony C. Gilbert, and today we're here to talk about grace.
Indeed. I'm Ebony Gilbert, as Carri stated, and I work in the healthcare industry, and I'm happy to be here today to talk about grace again.
Awesome. Yay. Well, we talk a lot about the places and faces and how to see grace. What does it look like? Some stories around what grace can do for people. Just really pointers to grace in the hopes that you see grace, more grace in your life, because it's available for us all the time. And I don't know if we have tackled the subject of how do you block grace? Because you can turn off the tap to grace. And so that's what we're gonna kind of dig around in today. So Ebony, would you like me to ask the question to myself to start?
Please do. Or you can ask it to me, but let's get it started. I'm interested in this, but I'm curious.
Yeah, me too, actually, because we, as we've said, we kind of just get together ahead of time, come and have a question, and we had some conversation today, and it really came down to like blocking grace. And I'll start that if I am on some sort of ladder, if I am above the people I'm around, below the people I'm around, for whatever reason, if I have some idea that there's a ladder, I don't seem to be on the level where grace lives. So
whether it's inferiority or superiority,
yes,
it removes you.
Absolutely. If I'm judging you in some way, shape, or form, or if I'm making myself better or less than, like you said, then I'm running the show. I've decided I have become the director of the play, and all of the actors are given their roles, and grace has nowhere to come in. And often when I'm in that place, especially when I'm on the lower rung of the ladder, actually, I don't know if it's especially, I'll give you an example. If I'm on the lower rung, I really want grace. I want relief. I, want to feel better. And I'm actually blocking that very thing from happening.
I got you. And processing.
Yeah, I was, process away. I really, I'll give an example.
Okay.
So when my son was really young, his father and I had split up, and he had visitation. And I was a, single working mom. I had a full-time job, and this beautiful kid who actually had some extra needs. And what would happen sometimes is I would dress him up and I would get his bag, and he would be all ready for his father to come get him, and his dad wouldn't show up. And I would get angry, and usually, to be honest, I would have made plans because I didn't have a lot of adult time or time to go do things, so I would have made plans. And so now I was angry. I was, truth be told, I was probably dumping it on this poor little person who was also suffering because his
Right.
dad didn't show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, poor me.
Mm.
I don't get to. I can't believe this is happening. Not only poor me, but that person, la di da di da, right? So I decided to call my spiritual, I had a spiritual mentor, thank you, thanks God. And I said, wah, wah, wah. I can't. It actually probably began with, I can't believe. Fill
Can
in the
you
blanks.
believe?
One or the other, yes. Can you believe? Actually, I knew her. I didn't ask her, can you believe? Because she was going to shut it down. So it switched to, I can't believe, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? She took a deep breath, probably because I went on and on. And she said one of the most important things to me. She said, Carri, you are his mother. You are his mother 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and 7 days a week. So let's begin there. You need to accept that you are his mother 24 by 7 by 365. And it was like, I did not want to hear that. And yet there was a little bit of grace that was like, listen to what she's saying. And what that did was when I could take myself down off the ladder and just look at, you know what, I am a mom all this time. And so what happened for me is I got the grace and discernment to the next time there was a visitation, I still made plans to go do something, but I made plan B. Plan B was, well, if I have to be the mom 24 by 7 by 365, what am I going to do then? And the next time it happened, all of a sudden, I was empowered because I said, didn't happen, can't come to the movies or whatever I had planned, and stayed home and we did something. I had made another plan, and I'm sure everybody benefited from it. I know I did.
Yeah.
I believe my son did, and in some way his father did, because I didn't, but I had to get right sized. And then grace flooded in, and by God's grace, that was not, it just shifted it. It didn't make it, you know, I could get on the bandwagon, that's not right, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, when I do that, I have nobody else's help, no help is coming.
Did you feel like you were deserving of this break? You know, I worked hard all week. I deserve some adult time, a break. I'm entitled to, can I use that word?
Yeah.
I'm entitled to this. I do it 20 days out of the month, 25.
Yep.
You have 2 days to show up.
Yep.
And how dare you?
Exactly.
Well, is that the latter position?
Yeah. I became, all of a sudden, I was up here and this person was down here. How could you? I can't believe. Can you believe? Right?
That's tough, Carri, because you do deserve a break. It'd be nice. Just not being overly spiritual, not being, you know, too deep and profound. On the surface, everybody deserves a day off.
Yes. It's true. And I had to look for it elsewhere. I was trying to get my day off from a resource that was not available.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And I so appreciate you given that example. The example wouldn't have carried the same weight if it was something that the general population wouldn't agree with, you know? It's like, no, this is real. You know, when you work your butt off, even in a job that's paying you, or motherhood, where you are the mom 24 hours a day, every now and then you like, cut me some slack. I need a day off. I need a break. And you promised it, and you should keep your word. And I have every right to be angry and not show you grace.
Exactly. And at what cost?
At what cost?
Because when I could let go of that being a possibility for a day off, I could go hire a babysitter one night and choose a day off. I could do other things, but I really put all that responsibility on that person who was not capable of delivering.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's grace when it doesn't feel intuitive.
Yeah. And the grace began with reaching out for help.
Hey, that part. That part. The gut check.
Exactly. I could not have come up with all of that on my own. Because I was on that ladder, right?
I'm up here. I'm doing all the work.
And I'm going to stay up here and I'm going to get angrier and I'm going to complain.
Which isn't going to change anything.
Exactly. So sometimes I had to step down, let go of the entitlement or even the pride, and reach out and talk it through.
Pride and entitlement. Which one was bigger?
Entitlement. That one, entitlement. Wait a second, I'm doing all the things. Why aren't you doing the things? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's already unfair. I'm already at a disadvantage here.
Let me
the
pour
least
some
you
more
can
on
do
top.
is
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you were blocking grace. The grace that you could give and extend. But it sounds like more than that. I mean,
and the grace that I could receive. I could have died on that hill over and over and over. Every time it happened, I could have died on that hill again. And by God's grace, I didn't. I can tell you that I only had to do it a couple times. And that is by the grace of God, because left to my own devices, that's exactly what I've done. I would have died on that hill every time. And this little person would have watched that happen.
Just marching through the wilderness.
And that's
just over and over again.
That's really where the grace is.
Gotcha.
Because he did not have to live through hearing anything about the situation, the person making a different choice, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense.
And that is by God's grace.
Well, thank God for your spiritual mentor.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it touches on what we say all the time. Usually at the end of the podcast, we talk about a community, don't do life alone. You know, find somebody, connect with someone who can help you. Because do you think you would have come to that conclusion on your own without that?
No. I'm pretty sure of it because it was very triggered. You know, I mean, it was visceral. And I had all kinds of stories, and none of them were they were all pointing to judgment, really.
Yeah. That's the word right there.
Yeah.
We get on that ladder and it's like, depending on my position, there's a better than and a less than.
And then there's the other side of the ladder. So can you think of an example of being on the other side of the ladder.
On the bottom end of the ladder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could think of an example. I don't know if this is gonna be what you're looking for. Where the person higher up on the ladder was saying some things to me that felt very unfair. Very unfair. Now, from a hierarchy standpoint, this person is higher on the ladder. But from a people, in my own internal judgment standpoint, I felt higher up on the ladder. Because I thought your position gives you authority. How much I know you need me gives me authority.
Oh, so you guys were doing this.
Yeah, we're playing the game together. We're just marching along, who's in front today. But in this particular example, the position of authority is what granted that feeling of you're above me. And it gave this person the perceived permission to say things to me that felt very inferior and felt very condescending and very unkind, not very graceful. And it was challenging. It's very challenging in the moment to not just lash back. And the wheels had to start turning very quickly. Okay, Ebony, you still have to work with this person. You still got to show up tomorrow. So if you lash back out, this person whose position is higher than yours can make your life real difficult. But more importantly, I'm not operating in grace. And I've got to take some personal accountability for what's happening here, right? And I don't get to weaponize all the previous acts of grace against this person in this moment,
Hey, remember what about when
But I had your back and I helped you with this and I helped you with that. And I'm thinking about your example, I'm thinking about my own, and I have a tendency to want to do that. It's keeping score.
Yes.
So every time I've done something nice.
Yeah, bring the evidence.
Come on, where are the receipts? Give me the receipts.
Right. It's like when you're in court, who's in the middle?
Yeah.
The judge.
So I had to operate in some grace. And when I removed the ladder from the room, just took it out, kicked out of the room, and just talked on a one-on-one human level without the judgment, without feeling personally attacked, and just said, hey, can we get to the core of this? Because I feel like your heart is good. And I think mine is good. And we're on equal playing fields at this point. So just person to person, I take accountability for clearly having done something to make you feel this way. How do we make it better? And in that very moment, the tone changed. Now, it doesn't always happen like this. It's not always immediate. It's not always quick. The very moment the tone changed and the person said, listen, I'm sorry. And the whole conversation went to a different level. But when that ladder came to the room, we walked in with both of our ladders on the back and we were running up and down it, depending on the point of the conversation. And it was pretty convicting for me. It was definitely a pivotal moment in my career, in my life in general, about how I judge situations and people, how my mind will weaponize previous acts of kindness to my advantage when I feel like I'm being mistreated.
Yeah.
It was just so not cool.
You just gave me like an image of like those previous acts of kindness, kind of pulling them out of your backpack and putting another rung on the ladder and kind of like stepping up that rung. Yeah.
And who wants to think that the person being nice to you is going to keep score and throw it in your face? And even if I never said it, and I never even thought it, if I'm being honest with you, but in that moment, this rush of how dare you? Have you forgotten? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have you forgotten all these things? And by the time that was all over, I was more upset with myself than I was with this person, because I felt like I came out of character and I abused grace and I misused it. And the sense of entitlement that I have was really misplaced. And I needed to get off that ladder. And I was blocking the grace that this person ended up showing me, because I could have reacted really poorly. I could have stayed in my ladder position and it would have blocked the grace that they ended up giving me. Or I could have blocked the grace that God was whispering to me to give to this person, But I couldn't feel it, see it, or receive it until I stepped down off that ladder.
Big time. It's like the great equalizer.
Yeah.
I love that the image too of like throwing the ladders out of the room. Okay, I'm on a ladder, you're on a ladder. Let's,
Yeah. I can't be on the sidewalk and you're on scaffolding. Like, we've got to be. let's get here together. Let me
get rid of mine and see if you'll get rid of yours, right?
Yeah.
Because it's got to start with me.
It's got to start.
I can't ask anybody to do anything that I haven't already done first.
What do you do when that's hard? That's just not easy. When you feel like you're turning the cheek constantly and you just get slapped around.
That's a great question.
How do you handle that? It's easy to show somebody grace if it's a one-off. You're like, they're having a bad day. Give them some grace. But when it's over and over and over again, the person doesn't show up every weekend. You're late every time. Like, what then?
Well, it's the more, well, for the example of them not showing up every weekend, it was just continuing to show grace. Because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice of saying, well, then don't come at all. That wasn't my choice. Now, I looked at that, right? But it wasn't my choice. So it's again staying in that, can I do anything here? And if I can't, if I can't change the situation, then how do I be in the situation? And sometimes I do have a choice. Kick the dust off my shoes. And keep moving. But I only can get that discernment if I'm acting from grace, right? Or with grace.
I used to have a mentor who would say, I would complain and moan about all kind of crap. This is a long time ago. I don't do that anymore. But I would complain, and she would say to me, who told you someone owed you kindness today? Who told you you were deserving of everyone on your path to have an equally good day and treat you as such? Like, are people not allowed to have off days? Are people not allowed to just not do you today? I thought, well, why would they do that? I was being nice. Why wouldn't they be nice to me? To me, this is reciprocal. It's automatic. It was touching on that entitlement and that ladder.
Like the running scorecard.
Yeah. It took her saying that for about 2 years for it to.
So that's a really good point, right? That is a really good point. It takes practice. I would love to say I know when I'm on a ladder and I just throw it away and everything's great and I'm always, peace all the time. And that's not true. And sometimes it's after the fact.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wait a second, this is not going well. Like, am I on a ladder? I had some tough stuff happen to me in my life, right?
No way.
Yeah, figure that. And I was given lots of grace in the process. Some I could see, some I couldn't see. And those kind of, I'll use the word tragedy, right? That kind of tragedy, I can put myself on a ladder around that too.
Yes.
Like if I hold on to that tragedy and decide that that entitles me to grace or entitles me for people to be really nice to me because I've had a tough time, then that actually blocks the grace I'm really desiring.
Yes.
And it's getting back up off that ladder, right? Wait a second. Other people have tragedy too.
Correct.
It doesn't negate the tragedy, it doesn't negate the feelings, but it does not give me like extra tickets in my pocket for grace.
I got a story for this one.
Oh, good. Do tell.
Shortly after my stomach removal, I'd been out of commission for several months. I entered this contest that I was asked to enter. I didn't go looking for it. This is an important part of the story, okay? I was asked to enter this contest. I entered this contest that was called Healthcare Champion. And you have to tell this story, fill out this form, and tell your story about a recent healthcare challenge and how you overcame it. And I thought, surely no one's got anything better than this.
Yeah.
I am winning this. I am going on this trip. And you ask me to do this, and you're part of the judgment committee. Surely this is in the bag. Because who else?
Right. I mean,
who else?
Yeah.
Who else has it this bad? What was me?
Where was the trip to? Just sidebar.
Oh, anywhere you want to go, up to $10,000 for a week.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay.
Anywhere you want to go.
Continue.
Yeah. I need this. God knows I deserve this. I've been locked in the house for months.
Yeah.
I've taught myself to do all these things again. My story is very public. I'm going to win. Well, not only did I not win, I didn't come in second, third, or fourth place. There wasn't even honorable mention.
You were nowhere to be found.
Nowhere. And for several weeks, I was pretty bitter and angry. Yeah. Matter of fact, I was so indignant that I refused to even read the stories of the people who won.
I totally get that. And I appreciate
support this. I can laugh about it now. I tell you no lie. The girl was hot, okay? When I finally did read those stories, it became very clear to me why those people won. Oh, it was so obvious. And I felt this big.
So what did you see when you were ready to see?
I saw that a couple of things. I crafted a very well-written story. And in my mind, that should have gotten me some points, okay?
Yeah.
This thing is beautiful. It's got all the SAT words. I'm evoking emotion. I've checked all the boxes for good storytelling. I have a ramp up and ends well.
It's got an arc.
Oh, yes. And the arc is perfect. And it's a compelling story, I was mistreated. It has trauma. It has tragedy. It has recovery. It has resilience. It's got all the things. When I read these stories that won, I read about people and families, and I read about crisis. I didn't read mine could have read as a fictional book, a bestseller fictional book. It's a very well-written book. But when I read their stories, they touched my heart. And I was drawn into who these people were. And I wanted to reach out to them and say, hey, let's chat. How can we help each other? It was a totally different thing. And then I went back and read my own story. And I thought, this is good. I should sell this to somebody. It's a good story. But these are people's lives who need a trip. They need a break. I would like it. It'd be cool. And before I allowed myself to see those stories for what they were, and then take a good look at myself and what I was doing, I couldn't see it. And you wouldn't have been able to convince me otherwise. Okay.
Yeah.
These people had challenges. It brought all my own crap into perspective, Carri. And it humbled me. Like, okay, I had it bad, but not that bad.
There's
Not that bad.
grace. There's grace in that.
It sucked, but
Yeah.
I was surrounded by family and friends. And there was a solution. And I could see clearly. One of the stories, the lady didn't even have use of her hands. And in the story, she says, "My apologies for any errors as this is being dictated by my computer because I no longer have use of my hands. I'm going to get choked up." And I thought, oh my God, like I'm sitting here complaining because I didn't win a contest for something I took literally 20 minutes to type up off the side of my desk. And it messed me up. It messed me up and it took me off that ladder. The ladder went away and it changed the way I framed the story about my healthcare journey completely. And it put me in a space of gratitude and grace. And nobody owes me anything. The world didn't make me any promises. I mean, I didn't think about the story when we first started talking, but woof. It changed some things.
I love it. That's such a beautiful example. And I appreciate your realness about your bitterness and
I was mad
at the time and and just the realness. And
I was real mad.
you reminded me, you had that period of time where you're like, I'm not even reading these stories. Are you kidding me? Like, who decided this? Right? This entitlement.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes time.
It took time.
Absolutely.
It took time.
And grace.
And I got curious.
Yeah.
I said, well, I wonder what they said.
And that's like all you need. All you need is a crack. You just
a little
need
bit
to crack the door open. And grace is very patient, always waiting.
And it showed up.
Yeah.
But I had to step off the ladder.
Yeah. Yep. And you got more than you probably bargained for.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That was a good loss.
Yeah.
Did me some good.
I love that.
It's a little embarrassing, in hindsight. But it worked out in the end for me. I just knew I had it.
Well, I think we've done a good workout on how to block grace today. How you feel?
Yeah, I think we have. I think we have. And, we've touched on so many things in the past few minutes of how to block grace, come off the ladder, entitlement, judgment. Call it what you want to call it. Title it how you want to title it. However it speaks to your heart today. However you receive it. Let us know. We'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you listen, as you can feel, hopefully people can relate to what it feels like to be on that ladder. Because then when we're aware we're on the ladder, there's hopefully new choices.
Yeah, absolutely. The irony in closing, when you take yourself off that ladder, this view that you are above the world, take yourself off of that ladder and you ground yourself. Place your feet on the ground and get humbled. Your vision actually gets better.
Yes.
Your vantage point is so much better. You can see the grace. You can receive the grace. It can flow through you. It can flow to you, from you. So your perspective, your vantage point is better on the ground. Get off the ladder. And that speaks to me. That's for me.
I love it. Me too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I love, as always, you wrap it up wonderfully. And
You started us off in your vulnerable space, and I said, hey, she can do it. I can do it. Hey.
We did it.
We did it.
Awesome. Well, it's been wonderful. And again, anybody has a question or a topic or anything about grace, let us know. So
indeed.
Until
in the
next
meantime,
time,
grace out.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know. We love to hear from you, and share it with a friend. Also, please be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. We hope you're leaving with another pointer to grace, a new perspective that will light it up in your own life. Until next time, be well, be bold, be kind to yourself, and be on the lookout.